Welcome to the Wholesome Healing Collective.
Join us on our podcast for a journey into the hearts of healers from all walks of life, diving deep as we explore meaningful conversations that have the power to inspire, empower, and share life-changing wisdom.
Through this community, we hope to create a welcoming environment where our listeners leave feeling nurtured and uplifted. We are so delighted you are here. My name is Alyssa.
And I'm Renee. Grab a drink, get cozy, and let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Wholesome Healing Collective podcast. Renee and Alyssa here with you today, and we have a special conversation that we want to share with you about Alyssa's program that has evolved and is about to relaunch. And if you remember, we've done a little episode about this earlier in the year and about intentional microdosing. So we're going to touch on those topics again. We're going to dive into the enhancements and how this program has evolved and what is to come in 2024 with it.
Beautiful. I'm so grateful for taking this time and this platform to share about this program. I'm so excited about what's to come. But before we start, I just wanted to share some acknowledgements. So acknowledging the roots of this medicine, specifically talking about psilocybin and where it's come from. So, all over the world, this medicine grows, these mushrooms that have the psilocybin on them and in them. But it's popular in the United States because of the Oaxaca mountains and just honoring those roots and all of those who have worked with the medicine and brought it into our lives. Acknowledging that I am a non-Indigenous medicine carrier and that I do have white privilege and that I'm a settler on the lands. So I am working to decolonize this program and my business, but I'm just starting that journey. So that is why I'm sharing those things. So Quantum Evolution is the name of the program. And it combines intentional microdosing with somatic coaching and breathwork and Reiki in a trauma-informed way. And this is a group container. And again, decolonizing it, so making it safe for those of the global majority and honoring the roots of the medicine.
So wonderful. I'm excited to see the new rendition of this program facilitated by the new rendition of you.
Right. We were just talking, I think, a couple of weeks ago, how much we are changing and evolving, and it's just so crazy, so fascinating. And I've recently said that time is not relevant when you're working in the quantum field. We did the episode about what makes a healer, and I specifically said in there, the work and the information and the knowledge and the experience is all important, but also time is not relevant when you're in this work. And so it's just another reminder of that fact.
Yeah.
One of the things that I love about the new rendition is that it's ongoing. So the previous version was an 8-week container, and I really wanted to open it up to allow people to spend time in the group container as long as they wanted to be, as well as join the group container when they feel called to start working with the medicine.
And I'm curious, what does that calling look like and feel like? And what might be some, I don't know, indications or maybe curiosity pings that people could be having that might be little telltale signs that it's calling them in, or maybe they want to look into more information, or what does that feel like? Or what did it feel like to you when you felt that call?
Yeah, for me, I had just really started hearing the word psilocybin and microdosing, and then began doing research about what is this and why would I want it or need it. And I instantly felt like this call and this pull of like, this is for me. I need to try this option. I'm somebody that's pretty against pharmaceuticals and taking medicine that way. So when I began realizing I was having issues with my anxiety and my depression and my ADHD, I was just completely against going to the doctor and getting prescription drugs for that. But the psilocybin and microdosing psilocybin in this way has been very helpful to those that are using it. And so for me, that felt like I need to try that. I need to see if that's going to work for me. And it took me a really long time to find access to the medicine and to information on how to work with it. Um, and I think continuing to like put it out there in the world that you do want to work with the medicine and the medicine is also calling to you, at some point you will finally come together. And this episode and my program is infused with that calling. If you're looking to work with the medicine, this episode is specifically designed to find you, as well as my program, because I want to bridge that gap. I want to bring forth that opportunity to those who are interested in working and healing and evolving with this medicine, making it easy for them to access the medicine, as well as being supported throughout the entire journey, because it can be uncomfortable working with the medicine. You know, working in an intentional way means that you are, so say this year I've worked with the medicine in an intentional way of being seen. Well, why do I find it safe not being seen? Why do I find it safe hiding or playing it small, right? These are questions that the medicine is going to show me. And I have to then work with that question. And I have to uncover some of these uncomfortable things. And the coaching and the breath work is designed to move you through that process and pull those answers, the lessons out so we can embody and integrate and then shed what is no longer serving us.
Yes. That's so, so important because I think, at least in my own experience, and I would imagine this might be the case for a lot of people, especially as they're just starting to become curious, starting to wonder if it could help them or how it might, contribute value to their life. It's like, where do you start? Even if you do have access, even if you live in somewhere like Oregon, where I am, where I could throw a pebble and probably find some, um, it's still like, well, how much do I take? And what is it going to feel like? And if it brings something up, then how do I process that? If that is some of the questions that are coming up, that's where these types of programs and Alyssa support is just invaluable, because you get to be held through that exploration, and not in a way that's going to be like, do it this way in a prescribed fashion, but in a way that is guiding you into your own body, so your own body can tell you what you're going to take and what your regiment's going to be. And then as that progresses and the body starts to reveal things, you have someone there to support you and help you work through emotions that arise. Because like Alyssa said, it's whether you're utilizing the medicine to help you along that self-reflective path, or you're doing it without the medicine, it's going to be uncomfortable either way. And either way, it's so beautiful to have support in that journey and have someone that is trauma informed and isn't going to be shaken by what comes up. Like, one thing that's beautiful with the training that Alyssa and I have had is, you could break down in tears, you could scream into a pillow, you could stomp your feet, and we're there for it. Like, we've got you, and we're not going to be uncomfortable by the things that arise, no matter how vulnerable they are. So
Because we've been there.
yes, exactly. Alyssa is done the work. So we don't take people that we've never been within ourselves and that's part of the preparation. And so I'll stop rambling now, but I'm just the biggest advocate. And yeah, I think there's a lot of people who are not in the work as deep, and it means that their containers might not have the potential for taking people as deep versus a container like Alyssa's, where it's infused with all of the work she's already done that lays the foundation for deeper work with clients.
Yes. And I'd love to share that the very first thing, so psilocybin was the very first thing on my entire journey. I quit drinking alcohol. I did that first. But I mean, it was psilocybin that drew me, I think, maybe to even pause and access Mundi, where that's where I found the information for intentional microdosing. And then that's where I took my training for intentional microdosing practitioner, and the Reiki. I think all of these things were brought to me to create this program to share psilocybin. And it just, right? It is so crazy and so beautiful that like it all, I was telling you yesterday, it's bigger than me. This mission and this program is bigger than me. And I am just here to bring forth the opportunity for others, because this medicine allows us to open up our awareness and our consciousness and just completely shift our realities in a good way, in a way that is so needed in this time right now, because there's so many people and things just shutting down to the world because it's uncomfortable. We need to move past that, and we need to change the world. We need to create a new paradigm, and that's what this medicine is ready to do. So beautiful. Yeah.
And I'm curious, what just popped into my mind was, are there any contradictions, anything that's maybe arising in people's lives, or conditions that may be already present that would make them want to consider a different route besides psilocybin?
Thank you. Yeah, we've mentioned this a couple times, but it's always good to mention it, and if this one really takes off, this episode really takes off, we want all that information to be bundled up here. So the contraindications for the medicine, you don't want to take it if you're on lithium. But if you are working through depression and you're not on lithium, this can be a really great route for you to take. It's not good for people with schizophrenia or bipolar. I'm going to say 1, but I'll have to double check, or you could do the research yourself if you have 1 or 2. And it's not meant for people with psychosis. So as I mentioned, it opens up your reality, your awareness, your consciousness. And for a lot of the people that I just named, their reality is already so wide and so open. And so it's not right for them. But the somatic healing could be, the breath work could be in a very gentle way. But working with the medicine is probably not right for you. As far as like your intention, I think that the medicine could work with anybody for their intentions. So healing or evolving or working through an issue like ADHD or anxiety or depression, I think it can support you in that way. And we talked about going super deep. And I just want to name that in a group setting, a lot of the coaching will be more of like guided in a meditative way. So I'll guide you into your body, and I'll ask you a series of questions and prompts to like just get things moving. But because we aren't having a back and forth conversation, you do stay kind of light, and you get the information you need, and we integrate it and we move through it. And if you want to go deeper, there is discounted one-on-one sessions available through the program that we can really go that deepness. But it's also what I'm trying to say is, because we're in the group setting, we're not all going like super deep and getting in an uncomfortable zone. It's part of that trauma-informed training where I am able to hold everybody that's in that group container. And I desire for it to be intimate. So if so many people sign up, I will create different pods so that each time we meet in a group setting, there's not 20 people trying to talk or be there, or you're feeling all that energy. It would be much more intimate. I'm feeling like 12, or I did feel 12. Now I'm feeling like 12 might be large. So I might even bring it down to 6 people in each pod. But we'll feel what goes on through this process, and I'm just really excited.
I love that there is that desire for an intimate group.
Yeah.
I think that is so special when you get that, not only the intimate time with you as the facilitator, but also it just allows more connection with a smaller group. And I know we're perfect advocates for finding our tribe through these kinds of programs. And I think it's easier to find the people that you really mesh with when you're in a smaller group like that. So that's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, having that community is so important. And there will be a Facebook group available for that community. And any information that's more private, I'll have a separate communication source for that. But really excited about that community aspect for those working through the medicine and this healing journey. It can feel so lonely when you're doing it all on your own. And once you step inside a container like this, you have that support and that family and that community. And it's just so beautiful to do it together.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting how you start to experience things that you wouldn't think would be necessarily difficult to talk to other people about or would make you feel lonely. But sometimes, as you start to see things from a different perspective, or you have an experience in meditation where you're opened up or you feel energy in your body that you haven't felt before, sometimes it's really difficult to articulate that to people in your life that aren't experiencing those types of things or reading those types of things or just interested in expanding viewpoints or feeling into those emotions. And if you don't have a group of people where you can bring those experiences to and have it be normalized,
Mm.
um, like Alyssa said, that can be a little bit lonely. So I highly encourage anyone who is curious about this work, whether it's this community or another community, finding a community and plugging in whatever way that looks for you.
Mm. I love that. And I'd like to share that there is 3 sessions a week for this program. And I know that kind of sounds like a lot, but when you take the medicine, things can just start shifting really fast, and you need to have that support available for moving through some of that stuff. So we have a call where we'll be talking about the sacred medicine. So at the beginning, that's creating that ritual, the protocol, the dose, the intention around it. And then we'll be doing that initiation with the medicine and a little breath work with the medicine. And then after, we are working with medicine, then those calls will be integration and support on what's been coming up. So a more circular setting where everybody gets to share, again, in a trauma informed way. So I'll be setting that container at the beginning. And then these beginning and foundational calls they'll all be recorded, but these foundational calls will be required to watch by anybody that's joining the container, halfway through these people working on it. So I've put a lot of thought into it. And then the second call a week is the somatic coaching. So again, that group setting where I'm guiding you into the body, asking a series of questions that will help you feel supported in what you're going through in the moment. And then the third call a week will rotate between an hour-long breathwork session or a Reiki cleanse or ecstatic dancing. So shaking that energy off and just really shedding what is no longer serving you. So I'm really excited about that. And obviously they're all optional, and you can also listen to the recording if you can't make them live, but to really get the benefits of the program, recommending that you either make it live or you catch the replays when you can.
And what came up in my mind is just how important consistency is in doing this work. I think that what I experienced, especially in starting some of this work, is you have an experience, you open up a little bit, maybe uncover something, and then you shut that trap door and you're like, okay, I looked at it. That's step one. Maybe I process something. Okay. But then it's like, now I'm going to go back to my regular life and I'm going to go back into my conditioned programming and go about my day. And then maybe I circle back around to it. Maybe something erupts back in my life where I'm like, oh gosh, okay, now I need to look at this again. Versus if you make that commitment for a designated amount of time and you consistently show up, and showing up even when it doesn't feel like you want to show up is exactly when you need to show up, because sometimes those parts and pieces that are inside of us that are running on the subconscious, when your conscious knows that you're going into that program or going into that class, those pieces might freak out a little bit. And that's that resistance that we feel when we're like, oh, I don't want to go to therapy today. I don't want to go to this class today. I don't feel like being seen. And the conscious mind it might sound like, oh, I'm too busy. I've got this thing going on, da 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 da. But it's really the part in you that's like, I don't want to be seen. I don't want to be vulnerable right now. I don't want to open up right now. And that's when you have to really check yourself, check in with yourself. Like, does my body really need the break? And I'm going to go rest and do something, resource in a different way? Or do I really need to show up and be seen in my resistance and receive help for working through that? That's what came up, because I know that I have experienced that in working with coaches, feeling that resistance come up and then showing up anyways. And then that part gets what it needs. And then afterwards, it's like, oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness I showed up today. And now I can release that. And now I can integrate. And now I can embody deeper because I showed up. So
yeah, I love
resistance
that.
might come up, and just show up anyways. Listen to your body, and don't be afraid to receive support even in your resistance, because as facilitators, we don't take that resistance personally. We know that that resistance isn't against the program, the people, the whatever, and we're going to help you through it. Alyssa's going to help you through that.
I love it. Well, I might need you to guest appear when I go to the level 2 training for breathwork in March. So
Ooh, yay.
we'll see what your schedule looks like. Okay. So I've never worked with the medicine without the coaching and the breathwork. I've always had the three together, and that's why I've created this program. But I can imagine what it would be like if you were intentionally microdosing and you didn't have the support. I imagine one would be lost. And so I just want to name that. Like, to me, it's very important to have this combination to allow you to move through the information and the uncomfortableness. And that's why it's called quantum evolution. It's because we're healing in that quantum realm where there is no time and space. And it all moves so quickly, but in a beautiful way. And by the end of your one cycle, which I recommend 2 months in the program for that cycle, you can stay longer if you want to. By the end of that one cycle, you will look back at who you used to be, and it'll have been like you had that quantum leap. Like there will be this such shift in your reality, or in this intention that you are working with, that you won't almost even recognize that person that you used to be. And that's me every time I do a cycle and I work with it in an intentional way. It's just like just these crazy leaps. And that's why at the beginning of the episode, when I was like looking back at the first time I tried to launch this program was in June. And then I pulled it because we moved and I knew I couldn't hold people through this process while also selling our home, finding a new home, packing and unpacking and being like the one that's actually responsible for all the coordination. So I pulled it. But looking at that version that I was in June to now, 6 months, it's a completely different version of me. And so it's just so crazy. The healing that happens, the evolving that happens when you're working in the quantum realm.
Yeah, it really is so incredible.
Yeah.
And what I love too is sometimes you go through progress and growth and you might question like how far have I come, and like I feel different but other people maybe don't notice yet, and you're kind of like am I really making progress? But when you go through this whole journey and you get support on multiple levels and you're being intentional and you're working with the medicine and it's just this whole beautiful package and journey, you're able to, like you said, collapse time and space when you're working in the quantum, and you get to this new you and this new vibration. And it's like, ooh, this is nice. Like, okay, I'm different. And it's just so, I've been having this experience lately as I've moved through the end of a chapter and the start of a new chapter. And it's such an incredible feeling to actually feel your vibration rise because you've released so much that you are lighter and you feel lighter in your body and you feel the energy moving, and there's just less like denseness and stickiness and like stuff holding you back. And it's just so beautiful. So I just highly encourage those that are like, what's this quantum and like collapsing time and space? This is nonsense. Keep an open mind, because it really is incredible what you can accomplish when you're devoted to your healing and your growth and you have support in walking you through even 8 weeks, and it's transformational.
Yes. Yes. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. The journey is like so deep and it can be really uncomfortable. Even if you're not working with the medicine and you're not doing the somatic healing, like it can still be uncomfortable when you don't have those tools to support you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the program is really affordable. It's $555 a month for those 3 live sessions or the recordings a week. There's 8 modules in there to help you with that integration and the embodiment of the healings. And then again, you can stay as long as you want. So maybe it's just the 2 months, or maybe you want to stay 3 months or 4 months, or maybe you want to take a month off and come back. So it's open to whatever you want in your journey. I also am offering scholarships for the global majority. So that's the BIPOC community, but it's also even larger than that. The new term is global majority. So what that's going to look like is pay what supports you between the ranges of 111 to 444 a month. So 111, 222, 333, or 444. Whatever supports you. If you fall into that global majority and you feel like 555 is too much a month, then let's talk about it. You tell me what feels good for you. Yeah, I think I've covered the big pieces. So how often we meet, the cost, what it is we're going to be doing. Inside the program, I have the resources to access the medicine if you don't already have access to the medicine. Yeah. Anything else you can think of?
What if someone is watching and they're like, I really want to do this. This sounds amazing, but I'm not really jiving on the group work and they just want to work with you one-on-one. What does that look like?
Yeah. We definitely could do one-on-one. The price is going to be pretty up there
Yeah, of course.
because the 555 is group container, so it's designed to hold multiple people at that price range. And if you wanted to do it on your own and be, that VIP status, it would triple. So whatever the math is there, it's at $1,600 a month for that one-on-one support. I think I mentioned inside the program, you could do discounted one-on-one sessions. So if you were in the group setting, but you wanted to dive deeper in a one-on-one session, I have those discounted to $88 for an hour session or $44 for it.
Amazing.
Yeah, so it's pretty discounted for what I typically offer one-on-one stuff. Sorry, $44 for the 30 minutes. So, we may only need 30 minutes to really get in there, but if you want to be held for a whole hour, that's totally up to you. My typical rate, if you didn't want to work with the medicine and you just wanted to do somatic coaching and the breath work and that kind of stuff, is $555 for 4 sessions. So that kind of gives you that breakdown of the hourly rate. Still in a package. I don't typically do the one-off sessions, so you can't book me for just an hour because we have to lay the foundations of the safety and the nervous system regulation, and I have to attune to your nervous system before we can really dive deep into some of that stuff. And so that's why my work is packaged work.
Yeah. Amazing.
That was a great question, though. And I'll link the podcast episode where I talked about my journey with the medicine and when I first shared quantum evolution. I think that's episode 16, but I'll link it. And if you have any questions, pop them in the chat or feel free to reach out to me pop them in the chat. I sound like we're on like a live Zoom call. Please comment below. And there is a link below to book a discovery call if you want to have a chat about this course, this program. And I'll also link the webpage where there'll be some more information on the program. I also want to name that I am committed to giving 10% of the proceeds or the income that I generate from this program back to the ancient roots of psilocybin and maybe even to Maria Sabina's descendants. So I got to do some research on how I can get a hold of them and if there's any foundations in place. So if you have recommendations there, put them in the comments. I'd love to hear.
Amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much for having this conversation with me, Renee. I really enjoyed the insights and the questions. I think they're really beneficial for sharing that message.
Yeah, always happy to chit chat about the amazing work you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. Beautiful. So we hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and we'll see you again next time.